Joining me now from Buenos Aires is Rabbi Sergio Bergman, who knew the late Pope very well. Thank you, Rabbi Bergman, for your time. I imagine this is a sad time for you, but I'd like to ask you, how did you get to know the late Pope?
Pope Francis was first our reference in Buenos Aires, the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, and we know him like Father Jorge, and became the Cardinal Bergoglio in Buenos Aires. And after that, we really start to build this amazing bridge that he really led in interfaith dialogue, and not only about religion. He was really involved in social action, and he became really a leader in Argentinian politics, in civil politics, because as you remember, we have a big crisis in 2001, and Pope Francis was the one that really bring all the society, religions, parties, non-profit organizations around a table to build really fraternity and to try to strengthen the unity of the people of Argentina, despite that we respect diversity. He was an amazing leader, not only because he was close to people, warm and charismatic, he was so really clever and so really committed to make changes. He never had any doubts that he need to move forward, that it's not only praying and it's not only talking, it's really doing things, bringing people to the ground to change things. And he teaches one, for me, the more important thing about how you connect and you match and build between spirituality and politics, the best match, meaning power to serve people and to change reality, and not to use and abuse of power positions.
Now, you mentioned there you both work very closely on the issue of interfaith in your home country of Argentina. In fact, you have even gone as far as to refer to Pope Francis as your rabbi. What did you mean by that?
Because as you know, rabbis, we are not priests. Rabbis, we are teachers, we are masters. And he really became for me, my really inspiration. He became for me a role model, and he really teach us how really spirituality can become not only an issue of religion, is an issue for all humankind. And as you know, he always opened the tent, and he include everyone in the conversations. He doesn't address only his writings and speeches only for the Catholic Church. He was committed to the Catholic Church, but the message was universal and wider. And for me, was my teacher, was my master, and in Hebrew, teacher, master in our tradition is rabbi. And I realized that he was in politics, in civil and social action, my rabbi.
What is your fondest memory of the late pontiff?
The last meeting that we have last May in Vatican, when he really was in the situation that he doesn't walk, he was in his childhood, and he came up and came to me and gave me a warm and big hug, and I keep this in my heart. And about what I remember is also when he came to our synagogue in Buenos Aires in the high holidays, in the New Year for the Jewish tradition, and he delivered the homiletics, the Dvar Torah, to our congregation, and was for me a turning point when really he realized, in the same way that Jean Paul II go through the Trastevere and came into the synagogue in Rome and said that the Jewish people are our big brothers in the faith. Pope Francis do exactly the same thing in our city, in our synagogue, and I will be grateful forever for this.
I understand, however, you did have differences, such as when it came to the issue of Gaza. Pope Francis calling the remaining Christian church in Gaza every day, and his last speech on Easter Sunday was calling for an immediate ceasefire to Israel's war in Gaza. So were the both of you able to find common ground on this issue?
I think that it's part of his really generosity. He knows that we doesn't really agree, not only in this issue. We have discussion about the Ukraine war, also about the hostages in Gaza, and like you say, the war in Israel. But doesn't mean that he closed the door and he doesn't accept you when you don't really be on the same page with him. And I believe that this is part of his greater really level of a leader. He welcomes you when you maybe doesn't accept his positions. And also he said the Pope is not infallible, it's not perfect. He's a human being and have position, can make mistakes. And always he recognized his human dimension. And I really believe that we don't really need to agree to build a bridge and to have dialogue and discussion. This is the way that he created the culture of the encounter, of meetings, of really building peace, because we are not thinking the same thing, but we need to really to stress the common ground and to live and coexist with our difference.
You were the Argentinian Environment Minister in the Macri administration. Do you feel that Pope Francis did as much as he could in addressing the issue of climate change?
No doubt he was a fighter about climate change, and also he was really clear also when he brought and spread out Laudato Si, that he's not talking about a green agenda. He's not an ecologist guy. He was really a leader about inclusion, human rights, and he explained to us, when you are really not taking care about the common house, he called our planet common house. This is not an issue about only sustainability. It's an issue about ethics, human rights, and the poor people, women and child, they lose everything when we are not taking care about which kind of economy, which kind of politics, and which kind of really of vision of humankind we have when we are doing business and we are really not taking care about our planet.
How will your home country, Argentina, remember him, since there are some mixed views? I mean, it is interesting to note that during his papacy, Francis visited 7 South American countries, but never his own. Why do you think that was the case?
I think that this is a mixed feeling for Argentinian people, you know. Everyone really loves him and expect his visit. And I really believe that is something that everyone really expect. And there are not clear reasons. My interpretation, this is not an official position of Pope Francis on Vatican, is that because now he became a global universal leader, he never really want to be involved in local low-level politics. As you know, in Argentina, everyone really tried to bring Pope Francis from his own side, and he really take care not to be involved in this local politics. He is now, and he became in his term, global inspirational leader, and I suppose that we pay the price. We offer to the world the most important Argentinian man for the history, I believe. And he really say, okay, maybe I need to pay the price, to come back to my country and to keep my status and my global leadership for the Catholic Church and the human beings.
Rabbi Bergman, I want to thank you again for your time.
No, thank you for honoring him, and we will pray for his soul and for his legacy. The more important thing is he's not now here with us, but he teaches us how we need to keep going with his inspiration and direction.
Thank you. That's Rabbi Sergio Bergman from Argentina, a good friend of the late Pope Francis.